Oh, we good? We good? All right. What up, everybody? It's your boy Royce the Voice, Orange Click, Orange Leader. Shout out to K Team. Speak your thoughts or lose your mind. And if y'all don't know what that means, because I've only just said it for the last, 2 days or whatnot, it means that if you do not speak your thoughts, you will lose your mind. You can't hold everything in, and I've dealt with a lot of things in my life where I held everything in, and it was a bad thing. And when I realized that I needed to talk stuff out, it frees your mind. You know what I'm saying? It frees your mind. You get the truth out. You know what I'm saying? You get to manifesting things and you can progress in your life. And I know that personally, you know what I'm saying, through experience. So if you don't speak your thoughts, if you don't speak how you feel, you will lose your mind. And that's real. So what up, everybody? You know what I'm saying? It's a little past 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? Just running just a little bit behind. I wouldn't say behind or whatnot because everything is still on time. You feel me? So everybody that is tuned in, good evening. It is Monday. It's 4:20. You know what I'm saying? Need I explain anymore? Yeah, we're going to keep that at that. But ladies and gentlemen, all right. So as you guys know about the topic that, I've posted up over the week. And first, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But the topic that I put up is going to be, the main thing, But the topic is... how do relationships become mundane, and what have you, done to spice up some things, in the relationship? But along with that, we have a very special guest this evening. Man, let me think of ways that I can big her up. All right. Well, first off, she's definitely, an old college friend from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, Golden Lions. You know what it is. She was also a teammate of mine on the track and field. She used to blaze the track and the cross country and the 800 meters and 4x4 and anything else, our coach would put her in. She is, I think that she was, I'm going to let her explain that part, but I believe that she is a biology major, amongst other things. But also she has dipped into I don't even want to say a new endeavor, because I've been checking her out for a few years about what she's doing, and she's into tantric yogi and tantric sex and just freeing your mind and just relieving all that stress. Like, I just been checking out her YouTube for really a solid 6 months once I got back on the scene. And she goes by the name of Crystal Tantric Yogi, all right? And before we put her on and slide her on the screen, she's going to be involving herself in this conversation that I'm bringing up amongst all the other listeners that are on right now. If you do have any questions once she gets on, feel free to ask her or ask me. But I'm going to dip into her brain a little bit and see what kind of things she's done in past relationships that would go mundane or go, or just stay kind of stagnant. What kind of things would he or she would do to help spice up things in a relationship? Because I've been getting some questions about all that. So, my producer, are you ready, man? We're going to bring her into the screen real quick and just kind of cue me to cue her. And there she is. And you can turn up your phone. Just let me know if you can hear me, Miss Crystal. Boom, there she goes. Hey.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Hey, how you doing,
Man, we
Royce?
are.
Old
Yes,
friend.
yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes, very, very, very good old friends. I think it's been about what? It's 2020. What you were out?
Don't start telling our
Well, you know what?
age.
We've known each other for a good little minute. You know what I'm saying? And even though we hadn't seen each other in a good little minute, I hadn't seen you since we graduated. You know,
I haven't really been back on campus since I graduated. I've been to Pine Bluff maybe once or twice, maybe for like a wedding or
yeah.
something, but I haven't been back for a
Ah,
homecoming. And not because I haven't wanted to. I've moved around quite a bit, having kids, and just life's been a little crazy. But yeah, that's probably why you haven't seen me.
I
But
feel
yeah.
you. And you know what? I can say the same thing. Because let me tell you something. As soon as I graduated, you think I came back? Nope. Nope. I have not been to one. I had not been to one homecoming. Uh, one.
Oh,
I ain't even seen frat brothers and none of that. Like, we probably through the phone and
oh
stuff like that.
no.
But I don't know what it is. I think I
Mm.
just took a I think I just wanted to just kind of get away. You know what I'm saying? It was being too
Really.
far from home.
I kind of wanted to come
Yeah,
back, but I had a lot going on in my life, and I feel like I just kind of went on a journey. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I feel like too, I'm one of those people, and you might be like this too. You want to come back when you have something to give or something you've accomplished,
yes,
and you just,
yes,
like homecoming is great, but you want to have something to give back to the people. And then I don't know, I kind of was like that with high school
yeah,
too. Like once I leave a certain stage, it's like, well, I'm moving forward.
yeah.
Some people like to live, their old glory days. I'm not quite like that.
That's you know what that's exactly what I was saying. I've had so many of my, so many people that I went to school with there. That let me turn my thing down real quick. Um, I had so many people that I went to school with up there that just say, hey man, you know what I'm saying, you should come by, and da 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 and all this, and I'm like, I did want to have a purpose, because just briefly, because I'm gonna get off about me, because this is definitely, what I'm saying, we definitely want to show love to, to what you do and just involve you in this conversation. But just real quick, when I left school, like, I came back to the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, and I actually got into the school system, the elementary school system in Tullahoma, under the special ed program for about 2 years, and that was an experience. And then also getting to coach like young middle school girls at West Middle School. Shout out to West Middle School, they the state champions in 2013. you know Proud of them or whatnot. But I got into that, and I knew my passion was like with like kids. I don't have any kids, unfortunately, but uh my passion was kids. And then working with those kids in those special ed programs, and really trying to I was really, my goal there was really trying to change that stigma and that stereotype when you think about special education in the students there. Because I'm gonna tell you this, the kids that were in those classes that I was helping to teach, I was an EA. um the only thing special about them, you know what I'm saying, if they want to say that, was really, to me, it was most kids where I dealt with kids with autism on the left side of the scale, and a lot of them just had behavioral disorders, this oppositional defiance and stuff, and a lot of that stuff geared towards where they were from, their homes. Like I went to their homes and I saw how their parents treated them and stuff like that, and they weren't getting like a healthy breakfast. One kid at one time, he would come to class. His breakfast would be hot Cheetos and 2 liter of Coca Cola. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I was like, man, what is
Yeah.
that doing to like their, as a young kid, all that sodium and then all that sugar and stuff like that, the caffeine. I was like, no wonder he's over here calling me out by all kinds of names and wanting to fight, and he's not getting enough sleep. And but I always wanted to get back to my community. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to get back to Tullahoma, Tennessee, and that's still my goal. You know what I'm saying? As we're doing this to help rebuild our black communities down on the South End. So I feel what you're saying as far as going back. I wanted to go back to Pine Bluff, with something to offer. And then now that we've kind of started this whole program, this Royce's Rant things, like, I'm going to be in talks with, probably our mass communication department to see, how
Oh,
we
good.
can, it would be good for them. I think it would be good for them, for my department, to see the works that I've done and still within that realm of my department. You know what I mean? Because everything that I wanted to do, in school and what I went to school for, we're sitting right here doing it, so just kind of like a full circle. You feel me? So let me ask you this, because we were just, I'm just blabbing my mouth a little bit, because just letting all the people come in. For all the people that just came in, we are here with Crystal Tandrick Yogi, and I'm gonna let her explain, briefly, just give her like an introduction, of yourself, and the things that you've come up doing, and then what you do now.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm thankful for your work you did with special ed kids because I have a daughter with autism. My youngest daughter has
Okay,
autism.
word.
And so I understand what you're saying. But yeah, so I am a yoga teacher, certified yoga teacher. I got my teacher training in
Mm-hmm.
2011. And I actually, we talked about having a track background. I actually was trying to train for the Olympics and Olympic trials in
Really?
2016 at
Okay.
UT. Yeah, I got invited to train with some Olympians at the University of Tennessee when I was living in Knoxville.
Nice.
And yeah, and so I learned that, whoa, we were being trained terrible.
At UT?
Yeah, at
What?
UT. Yeah, I trained with some Olympians. Yeah, and yeah, it was crazy. But I had a lot of potential that I didn't even know that I had. I just ended up getting injured, and during that time, I I had got certified as a yoga teacher, and then I had kind of got serious about my yoga practice because I was trying to heal my hips. I had SI joint dysfunction, so my hips were kind of unlevel, which made sense. I mean, this was after 3 kids. This was really just jumping back into
Yeah.
track after a long
Yeah.
time. Um, but so I went back to yoga, and I started to get really serious. And for those of you who have any kind of spiritual mind body
Mm-hmm.
practice, maybe even as a track athlete, if you get serious about it, you learn that the body mind connection is very powerful. So the more awareness you build in your
Mm-hmm.
body, it kind of changes your mindset. And you can't really move forward until your mindset changes to develop your
Mm.
body. And yoga kind of takes that to a new level. So what I found, to make a long story
Mm-hmm.
short, is as I started to heal my hips, that try to balance them out through
Yeah.
yoga, I gained a lot of awareness in my sexual center. So we have a physical part of our
Okay.
body, right? But we also have an energetic part
All
of our
right.
body. And in ancient sciences, they break those regions of the body down energetically to different places. And the region, the physical region of your body, the pelvic region holds the sexual center, which that makes sense, right? Because that's where all your reproductive organs and all that stuff is. But there's an actual
Right.
energy behind those organs and all those spaces. So that kind of unlocked in all of my healing and mind body yoga practices. I became acutely
Mm-hmm.
aware that that energy had been suppressed, that energy needed healing. So it wasn't just my physical body that needed
Okay.
healing. There was an energetic healing that needed to happen,
Mm.
which is with a lot of people in general, because there's a lot of shame around sexuality and all this stuff. And if you don't
Right.
assess the fact that you need to work on that area
Right.
psychologically, you kind of are immature
Mm.
and you neglect it. And so it can cause physical issues. For me, it was my running. So I kind of had this kind of spiritual evolution with my sexuality through the yoga, trying to heal for a
Huh.
track. When I realized that I was not probably going to go to the Olympics, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this dream up, and I just started to, embrace yoga. And be a yoga teacher and just kind of figure out where life was going to take me or where God was going to take me from
Yeah.
there. And I started kind of blogging my journey on Instagram. Now, during that time, I was introduced to Tantra, um, because I kind of fell down this rabbit hole of trying to looking for healing modalities. I'm like, okay, if I have some energetic
Yeah.
issues, what kind of healing besides yoga can I do? And I kind of explored yoni eggs. I don't know if y'all ever heard of those. Those are kind of vaginal eggs that women use to strengthen their pelvic floors. They
Ah.
actually go inside the vagina.
Wow.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is
See,
this is,
I'm,
this is
I'm
all new.
introducing
No,
you.
no,
Oh,
they
yeah,
need to
oh,
know. We grown
yeah,
up in here. This is Royce's rant,
yeah. I'm
everybody,
sure
with
some
Crystal
here very
Tantric Yoga. You go right ahead.
I'm sure a lot of, well, I don't know if a lot, but some people may have heard of them. They're natural
Okay.
stones, and what they're used for, it's an ancient practice. It's an ancient Chinese
Okay.
practice, where a long time ago women had jade eggs. Jade is a natural stone. They curved them into eggs and they would insert them into their vagina to practice strengthening their pelvic. And
Okay.
also the thing with the vaginal walls is that it's all muscle. So you can learn to isolate different muscles in your vagina
Okay.
to make sure they stay strong
Uh-huh.
and that they stay supple, and that you keep lots of good sensation in the vaginal walls because there's good blood flow.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had got in that thinking maybe I need to strengthen my pelvic floor. But as I started to discover these different healing modalities,
Uh-huh.
I ended up running into a tantra teacher. So
Mm.
that's the term. The spiritual science is tantra.
Okay.
I say tantric because I practice tantra as a yogi.
Okay.
So a
Got you.
lot of people who follow me, they say you practice tantric, but it's tantra.
Got you.
Um, so that's kind of how I became Crystal Tantric Yogi, because I was a yoga teacher who discovered Tantra
Mm-hmm.
and started practicing it. And then I started blogging my yoga and my Tantra together, and
Mm.
people kind of started following me, were interested in that kind of journey.
Interesting. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you're giving us this intro about this, because everything that we're going to talk about it's all going to kind of blend in together. And if you don't know, now you know. Like, when Royce's rant, it's called Royce's rant for a reason. I stay on topic, I do, but sometimes I have a little ADD, and I'm saying, like, yo, I just caught what you just said. So hey, speak on that real quick. So Be prepared for that because it's kind of freestyle, but you know what I mean. We're still gonna stay around like the
Yeah,
main
no
topic. You know what I
problem.
mean? Because like I said, man, like I said, you got the wine. We chilling. You know what I mean? I just want you to be
Yeah.
free. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
Yeah.
So, to everybody that just came in, let me give my shout out to Herschel Williams. That's Doctor Anatomy. You should actually check out his book. It's called Anatomy of a Cheater. We actually shot a short film of it a few years ago, but
That's
it's
interesting.
very interesting. Like he talks about his military life and stuff, and all the women that he's been with. And I used to think he was a pimp. I swear, the way that book be written, but he has some very interesting and unorthodox tactics and information on how men and women think in certain situations. Like he will really grasp your mind. We had him on the first season of episode 2 of Royce's Rant last year. Shout out to Herschel Williams. Yeah, it's the book called Herschel. When you in these comments or whatnot, you know what I'm saying. Put that in there in the link for those people, man. But it's called Anatomy of a Cheater by Herschel Williams. He is an interesting guy. Real talk. So, now dealing with what you do. The first question I need to ask before I get into the topic. Um, okay, I'm a person who deals with a lot of stress, right? Or I'll say I let stress get to me so easy. You know what I mean? The smallest bit of stress that comes to me, it's like I hold on to it and I harnessed it. And for some reason it's weird. It's almost like a guilty pleasure of wanting to feel that way. I guess in fears of letting that kind of stress go because afraid of what might happen once I let go of that blanket that I have. And the question I want to ask is with what you do, like just in yoga period, um, does that help with stress and like your mental instance? Because I see a lot of physical, what I'm saying, activities, done and stuff like that, which I've never been flexible ever, you know what I'm saying? But does that help you mentally when you're stressed out about certain things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are exposed to yoga through the commercialization of yoga, which is pretty white, slim girls in these different, acrobatic looking postures. But it's more about a mind body connection. It's about finding, your inner divinity.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order to get there, you need to, connect with your breath. You need to kind of rid your mind of distractions
Yeah.
and center yourself. So that's what it's really about. It's not about the postures themselves. Now, what happens is like your track runner. I know like we didn't study a lot of mind body stuff back in the day,
Right.
but you know that as an athlete, if you are all tense, you're
Yeah.
not going to run your best. Your
Right.
shoulders are up here. You're like this.
Yep.
No, when you
Yep.
relax and open up and swing your arms and you are in the zone and you're in the present moment,
Yeah.
whatever you're nervous about, because you could be really nervous when you're about to run, right?
Right.
But at
Right.
some point, you got to get in the zone, do what you've practiced,
Uh huh.
channel your body, be in the present moment, get in the mechanics of
Uh
it,
huh.
relax, and just do your best.
Mm.
That applies to yoga too. Like when you're in the postures, if you're talking about the posture practice, you breathe.
Okay.
Again, like when you're running,
Right.
if you don't breathe, you're going to get all tight.
Right.
You use your breath to connect your body with your mind. You stay fully present. And then in that moment, because a lot of times, whatever you're anxious about is something you're worried about is going to happen or
Mm-hmm.
something that happened in the past. It's
Right.
not something that's going on in that present moment.
Right.
All you can control is what's going on in the present moment. So, yoga has the ability to help you remember where you are,
Mm.
put you back into your body, breathe,
Yeah.
and center yourself. So, yes. And then also, your body remembers everything. So, your nervous system, can get triggered because it's thinking about memories, and memories get held physically in the body. So
Ah.
when you stretch out, like I don't know where you're tight. Maybe your hamstrings are tight or something.
Yeah.
They're tight because of some type of behavior you've been doing over and over again, something tension you've been holding.
Right.
When you do your forward folds and you release that tension physically, it
Mm.
allows you to do it mentally. I
Ah.
don't know. You kind of have to experience to understand what I'm saying. You should have experienced a little bit in track,
Yeah.
but when you get the mind kind of to let go, but when you've done something over and over again, a lot of times you have to release it in the body as well. Like you can't just release it in the mind. You can't just say, okay, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not. No, you have to have tools to help you relax your breath, relax your body, and allow your body to let it go as well.
Interesting. And Herschel again, he just chimed in. He said I didn't know. He said and I too teach tantra sex. I didn't know that. Herschel. Well, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Herschel. Boy, I'm telling you that book. I'm telling this guy. He's something else. I did not know, man. You come out the woodworks with all types of stuff, my brother. But okay. So now, we're gonna go to okay. There goes everybody. I was trying to figure out where I'm at. What's up, Darnell Walker? What up, Fred? You know what I'm saying? You remember Darnell? You remember Darnell Walker, Crystal?
I have to see his
Probably
face.
remember Darnell Walker. Let's see. What Taylor Overton? What's up, Brian Grant? Amber, Markeisha Hayward, Nadine Collins, Misty Cox, a whole bunch of other people that some of them I can't even pronounce your names, and I'll be messing up. But anyway, all right. So back to the matter at hand. All right, so the topic of discussion is this, and I want to see how you can intertwine this with your expertise and just your knowledge of just really just life. So, most of my show kind of revolves. I have a lot of lady listeners. Just checking all the demographics and stuff like that. I've spoke on things from sexual abuse, just me being sexually abused as a younger child. I spoke on toxic relationships. We spoke on slightly on on racism, systematic racism, the roles that men and women play in relationships and stuff like that. And I guess with this particular topic, what I've been seeing just through the feed and just some of the friends that I know, um, there's a lot of up and down, going in a lot of relationships, and and here's my little, I don't want to say conspiracy theory, but just in my experience, I see a lot of shifts in relationships for every season that there is. That's winter, spring, summer, fall, all of that. I noticed that, particularly like in the fall and when it's cold and stuff, people seem to be bundled up, cuddled together, you know what I'm saying? And lovey dovey, everybody's this and that. But as soon as that sun hits, right? Soon as that spring comes and the summer comes, it's like the new kids say, it's hot girl summer now. Everybody's coming out in their shorts and the women, just a little more skin exposed. You start to see like a lot of downfalls in certain relationships, especially for those people that kind of, I don't want to say exploit their relationships, but kind of, tell a little too much about what's going on. But there's always these things like, oh, I'm single again and single this and single that. And it seems like a fad in a way, with these relationships. Let me read something. What's going on? Okay. Tell Amber I'm gonna read her comment in just a minute. All right. Um the question is this. Just in your experience in relationships or whatever like that, I'll tell you mine just so you can think about it. But the question is, in a relationship that you've been in, you know, have there been times when it's became mundane? It seemed like it wasn't really going anywhere. What were some of the things that you guys have done or you have done or suggested to kind of help spice things up? Now, I'm gonna let that stick in your head for a minute, and then I'm gonna tell you just kind of like my experience and everybody else on some of the things that I or we have done in my past relationship. So, um, I'm trying to think of a relationship that was really just kind of serious because Crystal, man, uh, I was such a good person in school. I was so good, and I just went through so many relationships. You know what I mean? But I was recently engaged. Um, okay, all right. I was recently engaged, and well, not recently. It was back in 2013, and I noticed there was a time where it was really becoming, just kind of stagnant. Nothing was happening. Um, we weren't really elevating in any type of way. We were just, going to work, coming home, eating. You might have a little sex, and it was a routine. It was kind of routinish, you know what I mean? And and I'm not even gonna take the credit, but we had came together one time. First, I would like to say that communication is key. So it did start with communication. You know what I'm saying? She was one of the ones that helped me get out of my shell with communication. Like, listen, I'm gonna need you to speak and tell me what's on your mind, what's bothering you, because That's what I would do. I hold it in, we get in the argument, and I blow up. And I should have said something a long time ago. So, I would tell them like, okay, man, look, the sex is becoming really routine. It's kind of I already know what to really expect, when it comes, comes to that. And she was like, okay. She said, well, I feel the same way too. I was like, trying to get a little attitude with me or something. I was like, I'm not trying to fight or nothing, but you told me to speak my mind. And she was like, all right, well, what are some of the things that we can do? And that rose some hairs because I was really scared to tell her, what I'm saying, what I like to do. And this was one of the compromises because I'm not going to go into everything, but one of the compromises was, I like watching porn, man. Like I like watching porn, especially specific kind of porns. You know what I'm saying? It may vary. It may vary from riding, and it may vary from oral sex or whatnot with all the fixings. That's what I call it. But I said I enjoy. I've always had this thing of watching it with the person that I'm with. You know what I'm saying? And at first she was like, well, do I not turn you on either? I said, no, no, no. I said, it's not that. I said, I don't know. I said, for some reason, I just have this thing of being in the ambiance of seeing that or hearing that, that kind of thing kind of turns me on. Not to say that you don't turn me on, but I said it just kind of helps. It almost feels like, we're being watched in a way. You know what I'm saying? Or who knows? We could probably learn something from watching what those people are doing or what turns you on. Come to it, when she compromised that, she saw that and she looked at some things. She was like, you know what? I'm thinking about trying this. You know what I'm saying? And those were one of the things that we did. It was the communication part, but just for speaking my mind about helping that relationship out, she kind of, got to it. You feel me? And we were happy in that kind of department. But as far as you, like, what are some of your experiences that you have done? I mean, this is anything. It doesn't have to be anything sexual or anything like that. But what is something that's kind of helped elevate any relationships you've been in when it's become stale?
Well, first of all, I would like to say I feel like this is kind of a complicated question because it depends on what all is going
Mm-hmm.
on. I think what I've learned is I haven't been in several relationships. I've been married for most of my adult life, and I think that compatibility is really important. I also think that education is really important. Like what I was saying, like a lot when I started doing yoga, it kind of unlocked my sexuality, and I saw how suppressed I was and how oppressed I was. A lot of us grow up and no offense to anybody who's religious, like with Christianity or any of those monotheistic religions like Judaism or Muslim, but a lot of them do not teach about sexuality or to be okay with the things that make us aroused. So we end up turning to porn or something else because that's the only place we know how to go. So I think, um, first of all, there needs to be compatibility, there needs to be honest communication, and there also needs to be like you educating yourself about what you like
Mm-hmm.
and what turns you on. So self exploration. So I would say maybe that would be one of the things because what I found is that when I discovered what I liked, especially in practicing Tantra, which the difference between the Tantra that I practice and maybe your friend or a lot of other people is we start off with self cultivation, meaning a lot of it is self pleasure, a lot of it's like us working with our own sexual energy first.
Ah,
When I started to do that, that's probably when you saw me on Instagram kind of come out of my shell a lot because
yeah.
I didn't feel any shame about who I was sexually and I started to express that naturally. I didn't need anybody to like inflame my desire.
Yeah.
Men or your lover is going to feed off of that. So when you're really confident and you're feeling sexy in the bedroom and you're exploring new things that you like and you coming from your own creativity and authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to elevate um, the fire in the bedroom if they feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
that's why I go back to compatibility
Right.
because it might be too much.
Yeah.
But but they are, and you want. And my whole thing is like I have never had an issue with bringing passion, but it needs to be reciprocated because if not, you're doing all the giving.
True.
But I would say that's one of the biggest things. Like so, like when you came to your girl,
Okay.
about like I need to watch porn. and like and I get that because it was a matter of education, right? Like where else probably didn't know where else to kind of learn new stuff or get turned on, and
Yeah.
that's the issue. But like if I were with you, or like if I with my tantra practice, I'm like, okay, let me see you masturbate, let me see what you like,
Okay.
what turns you on. Like I would do specific stuff with you to kind of learn about your own sexuality, or show me something, or let's do this type of thing so we can explore it within the realm of us. Or like I think showing some porn, like I want to do this or that, but I actually like making videos more than I like watching.
There
So,
you go. I
but
feel you. There you go.
but you have to be comfortable, I think,
True.
enough with your sexuality to want to do that,
Yeah.
So and you have to have, I guess, something to perform.
Yeah.
so yeah, I think first things first is you need to, if you feel like lackluster, like figure out what you're needing within yourself outside of just like, that's another option. And but I do think that sometimes like watching other people can kind of spark your creativity. But there's workshops and there's books and there's stuff, I think, too, that's really well rounded, where it doesn't feel like, oh, I gotta watch porn too. So that's an option.
Interesting. So I've got actually, I got a couple of people got some questions for you, and
Hmm.
this is from Amber Vasquez. Um, it's not lengthy, but I'm a paraphrase it. She says, I'll just go on. But she said, "What about keeping yourself busy?" She says, "I'm one to never take a break at work, even if I get paid for it. I buy a lot of money's worth of oils and beauty products, and I could never give myself the time to use them. I give hundreds of dollars away of products I buy into, then always take on projects to keep me busy. How do I simmer the stress of a woman who's always has to keep busy on multiple projects, and especially being a mom of 4 kids?"
Ooh, Lord. Yeah, I think you just have to prioritize. I think a lot of women don't realize how important cultivating their own sexual energy is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
to cultivate your desires and your passion and to know what you want, you have to prioritize it.
Mm.
You have to realize, this part of my life is just as important as some of the others. Like, as long as you're feeding your family and you're getting everything done, you need to set aside, even if it's like 10 minutes of like reading your favorite erotic novel.
Mm.
Maybe you got to start
Hmm.
there, like, on my page, sometimes in my stories, I like to artists. I do like erotic
Yeah.
artists where they make different pictures, and you see the artfulness
Right.
in seduction and sexual acts where they freeze it and they draw it.
Right.
That can be a turn on. And I also think women need to just think about like their health, as far as like taking care of their vulva and their vaginas, giving yourself massages,
Mm.
doing self pleasure exploration, things like that. Like, I think that you have to take out, maybe 10 minutes, start off 10 minutes a week,
Yeah.
do some sensual yoga, take a pole dancing class once a month or something, take a twerk class once a month. You can find once a month to start to cultivate your own energy. Like, that's really important. It's important not only for you as a
Uh huh.
woman to stay connected with your fierceness and the lioness and the goddess within you, but also for your relationship.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So
Mm.
this next question is from Nadine Collins, and she says, "How do you keep your mind focused on poses and not the hurt?" Because it looked like it'd be
Okay.
hurting.
This is going on another
Yeah.
topic. Um, that's that, like we were talking about Royce with track, it's that mind body connection, and you breathe through it. You know what I'm saying? You have to have patience. Now also with track, we know that, say you have a goal of running a 46 400
Uh huh.
meters, you're not going to start off there at the beginning of the season. Maybe you start off, where you work yourself up to
Yeah.
intervals, and then you
Yeah.
hit a 51, then you hit a 49. So
Yeah.
um, that's the same with a yoga practice. When you're holding poses, and I'm not sure what your goals are, but say you're working on the
Uh huh.
splits and you have to hold a pose where you're stretching your hamstrings and it feels a little
Yeah.
intense. You need to find a way to breathe through it, and you hold at your edge and then you come out of it. And then you hold a little longer and then you come out of it. I mean, it's not something that's going to come overnight. If it feels like you're
Mm-hmm.
straining and you can't relax into it, then you need to back off.
Mm.
And maybe you find The great thing about yoga, and especially if you're starting off with yoga, that's why it's good to have a class, because it might not just be your hamstrings, say, when you're working on the splits. It might be your hips, it might be your abs as well that are connected to your hip flexors.
Right.
There's a lot of muscles that are connected to you doing certain poses. So maybe you got to stretch your hips out a little
Mm.
bit more. Maybe you need to stretch your back or your abdominal muscles. And so you get a well rounded practice, and you kind of, you make the connections of like, okay, when I move this leg here or I flex this toe, I can stay in the pose a little
Mm-hmm.
longer. You take some deep breaths, and then you come out of it and you just progress little by little. It might take you weeks, months, years to actually hold the pose with ease like you want to. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, I see. I don't know, and just to add to that, like, yeah, yeah. Once again, I'm not that flexible. I pulled even in high school. I could never. I mean, I could probably barely get my leg up, 90 degrees whenever I'm like on my back or whatever.
Really? That's
It was
terrible.
terrible. And my times could have been
Just think if your range of motion would, yeah, see, was better, you would have been so much faster.
so much faster. And
Yeah.
then I think with doing that though, uh, later on when I tried to show off for my guy kids and I started running, I came out the blocks over there trying to show them how to come out the blocks. I pulled both of my hamstrings at the
I knew you were gonna
at
say
the
that.
same damn time. At the same damn time. I'm talking about this was during a high school football practice. So this was real. This was
Oh
real embarrassing. I rolled. I
no.
was rolling on the ground like I was Sonic the Hedgehog. I was like, "I'm okay. I'm okay." You know what I'm saying? And the kids running to me like, "I'm just telling y'all, man. Y'all gotta make sure y'all stretch before y'all run." And boy, I felt so old then. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she said, for real. Then no, she said, "Thank you, man." Shout out to hey, what's up, Lynette? How you doing? How you doing? Nadine said, "Thank you." And
You're
also Amber
welcome.
said thank you also. All right, so
You're welcome.
here's another question. All right, so like I said, most of my lives that I do really kind of stem around uh uh relationships, men and women, toxic relationships. Um, to tap into that, like that is one of the unspoken subjects I'm gonna say amongst like the black community. It's two things to me. Definitely sexual abuse. I realized when I did the sexual abuse thing, I had a lot of people call me offline, and were comfortable just speaking with me off the air, and I was realizing that there was a lot that our community has dealt with and is afraid to talk about. That's why I kind of made that step in my life to be like, you know what, I'm gonna broadcast this and I'm gonna tell people, you know what I'm saying, like, that it's okay. You know what I mean? I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. I can't really help you with that. I can just tell you my experience, and I was hoping that could help people speak about those particular issues. And then another was, like toxic relationships. Okay, so and one of the questions or whatnot, and this is before that we got on the air. Um, when it comes to toxic relationships, right? I've seen where and I've been in one myself. I've seen where within that toxic relationship, it's like an in and out thing. Like, oh, get out, I don't want you no more, and then you come back. Get out, I don't want you no more, come back. I hate you, you know what I'm saying? I don't want you in my life no more, and then you come back together. You know what I'm saying? Um, in your experience, or maybe of what you've seen, what do you think keeps people in toxic relationships? What makes them gravitate back to something like that, in your opinion?
I think that there's probably just something that you need to learn that you haven't learned yet. And I mean, to me, that's like the simple answer. Obviously, there could be plenty of other reasons. Maybe the sex is good, or maybe there's some kind of emotional dependency that you got going, or maybe y'all really love each other, but y'all just don't know how to make it work. But I think a lot of times, I think what I've learned, I feel like, is that there's something that you need to learn that you haven't learned yet. And that person came into your life for a reason, and you just haven't learned it yet. And so you keep coming back to that same lesson. They have a strong pull on you because you haven't, whatever the pattern
Yeah,
is that you haven't given up, they feed into that until you figure out, oh, okay, it's because it's never really about the person, because you can always leave the situation. You always have that freedom to do that, if you're not in an abusive situation or something like that.
yeah,
But a lot of times it's about a behavioral pattern or mindset that you just don't want to let go of yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then if there's sex involved, especially if the sex is
Yeah.
decent, sexual energy is really sticky, it's magnetic. So that can amplify the feelings and the emotions. But there's several reasons. I mean, some people, if it was the first person that gave them a really good orgasm, or if it was the first person that said that I love you, or if it
Mm.
was the first person that made you feel accepted,
Yeah.
when you haven't learned that you can be okay by yourself. There's several reasons, but I think it all falls under that there's something that you need to learn that you haven't quite learned yet. And then whenever you learn the lesson and you're able to move forward, I think that relationship will probably fall away
Yeah.
or it'll grow stronger. It just depends, if the person is evolving with you. I actually interviewed Kev Hicks. He's got a big YouTube channel
Okay. Okay.
on, and he's a relationship dating expert. And he was saying that he feels like the most successful relationships are the ones where they want to evolve together, like they both have goals spiritually where they want to move forward.
Right.
And the ones that don't do well usually don't have a common goal in mind. Like, so I believe that too. I think that when it feels
Uh huh.
toxic, there's some kind of lesson spiritually that it's got us there.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? That we just haven't learned yet, and so we keep coming back until we learn it. That's what I think.
Now, okay. So I'm glad you said that because I felt victim plenty of times in relationships. Uh, you name one thing, and this is funny. I don't think I've never gotten the answer out of anybody that with the answer that you just said. The first thing you said was the sex, right? Okay. I know I'm not the only one who can admit that because anybody else that I asked, they would never say anything like that. And I know it's kind of like a big factor because I'm gonna tell you this. Yeah, but nobody like no. It's like nobody. It's not that they don't know. It's that they don't. They just. It's not. It's like they won't tell you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, I said, okay. Well, maybe with one word that you're saying, the reason why that you're still in this relationship, maybe underneath that umbrella of that one word, sex has definitely got involved. Because I'm gonna tell you this. The first time I got a piece of some just real good sex, I was about, you know what I'm saying, maybe just before I went to college or whatnot. And man, let me tell you this. That girl was toxic, okay, for one. But see what happened was is that
She
one,
has some good
she
pussy.
had some good pussy. Like it was so good. Like I swear it was now, that was the first time uh that because it was really serious. I think she almost got pregnant. You know what I mean? I think she almost did. But see, just keeping it real, that's what we were having sex. We weren't using the condom, so everything was feeling good. And that first time doing it like that, it was just everything, all types of emotions and stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh, I want some more, I want some more, I want some more. We would get in types of arguments and fights and stuff like that. And after that, then we would do it. In some cases, we would get an argument on purpose just so we can do it. You know what I mean? Or just all types of things. Like, man, what am I doing? And that was the first toxic relationship I've been in. But then there was kind of like a domino effect because then I got into relationships that were abusive. Okay. And within that, being in those abusive relationships, now, along with the sex keeping me in, I'm also getting abused, and then I'm returning the abuse also. So now I'm becoming a person that I never was. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I do want to say this,
Okay.
and this is getting a little deep for
Go
people,
ahead.
but your sexual center, remember I was talking about your sexual
Yeah.
energy, your sexual center in the pelvic
Yeah.
region is also connected to your subconscious.
Mm.
So there's an idea that, so of course we think of like the different parts of the mind and the brain, or you've got, don't let me get to lying, but the medulla
Yeah.
oblongata, the cortex, all this stuff. It's one part's consciousness, one part's subconscious, one part's unconscious, one part's super conscious or whatever. But it's also layered in the body as well. So a lot of your unconscious and subconscious feelings lie in the heart and in the sexual region, your hip
Mm.
region. So like anybody who's ever practiced yoga, or even just say have you ever done like a hip opener where you're stretching your hips and you're like, I feel like I want to cry?
I've never.
Like, have
I
you
don't
ever
even know what a hip opener is.
like if you do a straddle where you open your hips and you stretch your
Okay.
hips. There's a lot of hip stretches where you stretch your hips, or what about like a butterfly pose where you put your feet together and you open your hips
Okay.
and you stretch forward? You know
Okay.
what that
Yeah.
is,
Okay.
right?
Now I've now done that before. I think
Yeah.
that helps out my lower back a little bit
Yeah. So if
too.
it
Yeah.
does, and you need to do it. You need to continue doing it. But sometimes you can be so
Hmm.
tight that if you try to hold that pose for several minutes, like that one girl was like, how do you not concentrate on the
Yeah.
pain? Like those are, it's not just the physical pain. Sometimes emotions can come up because you have all this tension and built up stress. That, remember, I told you hold that in the
Yeah. Right.
body? Well, in your pelvic region, where your
Hmm.
hips are, where your sexual organs are, where your sexual energy
Hmm.
is also where your unconscious feelings lie. So when you
Oh.
talk about you were abused as a
Uh-huh.
child, you still have those unconscious memories there in that pelvic region that is connected to your sexual energy. So when you are having sex with someone who can be abusive, and then you are feeding that unconscious stuff that happened in your childhood because you're not dealing with it, you're kind of
Right.
amplifying it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the also, I don't want to say the danger with sexual energy, because if you have tantra practices, you can use sexual energy to bring that unconscious stuff up and then heal
Yeah.
it. But if you don't have the tools to heal it and you're just having sex, unconscious emotions can stir that stuff up. That's related back to your childhood.
Mm.
So like, again, I was talking to Kev Hicks, and I was saying like, what's the most like advice do girls ask you about when it comes to dating advice? What do you deal with the most? He said side chicks. He was like, because yeah, and I was like, really? I was surprised. And he was like, yeah,
Oh.
because what you find out is a lot of girls that are asking why he do this to me and why he do that to
Mm.
me. These girls have put themselves in positions to not be valued because something happened in their childhood
Ah.
where they weren't valued.
Yeah.
And so they end up getting in relationships, sexual relationships most of the
Hmm.
time, with guys that don't value them. So that's really important. And this is why I found out that the work that I do, like a lot of people see me like, oh, she's just being cute and she's embracing her sexuality. No, what I found out is that I end up attracting people who have been abused, that they're ashamed, they're not in control of their sexual
Yeah.
autonomy, and it affects all these unconscious and subconscious
Hmm.
memories that they've been bottling up for a really long
Hmm.
time, and it's related to their sexuality. And so we have to heal that in order for them to move forward in every other area of their lives. So that's something to keep in mind when you're talking about
Hmm.
abuse and sexual energy and having sex with people, because if you don't recognize the
Hmm.
pattern, sexual energy will just amplify that pattern and you will continue it. And then you may even get addicted to it,
Oh.
because that's what sexual energy can do, because you think it feels
Yeah.
good, but then you're not really addressing the issues that are there. And that's why people are scared of
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah. That that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty. So okay. So let me ask you this: from what you before you even stepped into the yogi world, right? How
Mm-hmm.
was that crystal compared to the crystal now?
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of differences because, first of all, just age. I was much, I started practicing yoga, I think, in my late
Hmm.
20s, and then I had a forward. But I think I would say that understanding everything in me holistically from the time I was raised to where I am now,
Yeah.
I just became more of myself. So when I was younger, I didn't know there was any shame about sexuality. I
Hmm.
had my first experience with sexual energy or arousal probably around the age of 3 or 4. I
Okay.
tell this story quite a bit lately, and it was like me and a little boy my age. We tried to imitate something that was on TV. It was very innocent, no trauma or nothing.
Yeah.
But I went home and told my mom, and she was like, "Oh, you're not spending that over there anymore." But it felt good to me. And so I think I tried to emulate it in other ways, whether if it was humping my teddy bear or it was humping a pillow, or,
Yeah.
little girls would
Yeah.
come over
Me too.
and, we play under the covers or whatever.
Yeah.
But that sensual energy kind of stayed with me. Well, when you get into church, say it's bad sex, bad. Okay, so I try to do the right thing. I try
Yeah.
to stay celibate. I suppress that energy. Nobody teaches me how to use it or what's appropriate. You just learn
Right.
that it's bad. So you try to hold it in.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I put a lot of that energy into sports, but at some point, I started to crave, and that's how I got pregnant right out of college, and then, baby, baby,
I
baby.
know.
Um, so I think what happened is when I got into tantra and yoga and started to learn how to use my sexual energy in a way that helped
Yeah.
me, I just became more of who I was. And I wasn't fighting against who I naturally
Gotcha.
was. And I didn't feel bad about it because I knew I had good morals and integrity with it. So I don't feel any shame about talking about sex or wanting sex. I know that, it needs to be within the realm of healthy relationship and all this stuff. But I think I just became more of
Uh huh.
myself. I'm able to talk more openly because I don't feel any shame
Yeah.
about it. I understand who I am and I understand people. I'm able to read them, a lot better because I understand myself better. I'm just more in tune with who I am. And I also think I understand nature
Mm.
better. And I also understand, I feel personally, I understand God better because there's not this conflict of always feeling like a sinner.
Okay. Okay. Okay, okay. So, all right. So now I'm gonna first. Well, I'm gonna ask this question, but then I got a couple more questions from the people. Like they're really in tune to what's going on. I know y'all just something different, ain't it? I know, I know. Thank you, Krista. I told you they needed this. I told you. All right. So okay. So I was peeping on one of your last shows or whatever. You were speaking about ejaculation. All right. Now I
Female
female
ejaculation.
ejaculation. Yeah, let me get that correct. Female ejaculation. All right. So that's something I was doing some semen retention a few months ago last year. I was trying
Okay.
not to nut for like 37 days. And it really did
Oh,
help
wow.
me out. Like I didn't jack off and none of that stuff. It really did help me out. My producer over there laughing at me. But it's true though. Like I had a clear state of mind, you know what I'm saying? Like I was lifting weights, had all this
It's
testosterone.
important too around your age. It's
Yeah.
important because you're around the same age as me for men to start learning semen
Yeah.
retention practices.
So,
Yeah.
can you because I there's I've asked questions just out the blue, to people. I have this thing where I break the ice, you know what I'm saying, with females that I meet or just when a circle
Mm.
of friends, and I said, y'all, I said, why do y'all act like ejaculation is something bad, you know what I'm saying? Because in relationships, my exes always had a problem with me doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like they felt like that
Doing what?
jacking off.
Oh,
you know, yeah,
masturbating.
yeah,
Okay.
Matt. So I'm saying, like, from a woman's standpoint, because not too many women that I know speak on ejaculation. They act like that it's a sin. So yeah, I see the face you make. Okay, okay. So can can you
Okay.
rebuttal that in your own opinion, just in your own experience on how you feel, how important you believe it is, or the advantages or disadvantages of it
Uh, I don't know.
for
First of all, I
females?
don't really understand the concept. Yeah, first of all, I just want to say I don't understand the concept of ejaculating being a sin. But I will say that for some women, it's just something that happens when they become really
Mm-hmm.
aroused naturally. Also, it's important for every woman to know that they have the ability to ejaculate or to
Mm-hmm.
squirt if they want to, especially if they have a healthy pelvic floor.
True.
So it's something that's natural. It's not urine if you've ever ejaculated or
Shit.
if a man's
You
been with
can't tell
someone
me
who
that,
has
Crystal. No. No.
ejaculated.
Wait. Hold on. Pause. Skirt. Skirt. Skirt.
Okay.
Wait a minute. You
Okay.
cannot tell me that is not. Look, I've had a female squirt on me. She was riding my face one time, and I swear
Mm-hmm.
that the first time she did it, it was all warm, and then like it was a little salty. So I was like, man, I said, did you just pee? I mean, she just let it go. I'm like, I said, I feel so disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this girl is pissing in my mouth. And I was just like, oh, God, God. She's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's really nice. So next time that we did it, I put a towel around my neck. You know what I'm saying? I put a towel
Mm-hmm.
around my neck. I said, okay, look, all right, I'm prepared for this. You know what I mean? And, of course, like she did it again. I guess that was just a
Mm-hmm.
good angle for it. But, like, okay, if it's not pissed, then why does it taste salty then?
Well, first of all, I don't know
A
what your
lot of men want to
experience
know.
was like, but okay. But I want to say that have you only been with one girl that squirted?
I've been with two, but see, squirted as far as accidentally tasting it, one. Okay,
Okay. I I've heard this from a couple men where they're like, "What tastes like pee, smell like pee." Maybe it was pee. Maybe she didn't squirt, and I hate to, say,
see, so how do you
but
differentiate?
it because you will know, but it's what I'm
Okay,
saying. You will know. Like when I had a squirting experience and ejaculating experience, I had cum shoot out of my
okay,
vagina. It was
okay.
creamy, and when
It
I
shot.
squirted, because it happened, yes, it shot out. Like it was on the bed, and I was like, "Oh, look," because I was able to
Right,
see
right,
it.
right.
because I think it was during the daytime when we were having sex. And I was like, look, yeah, I did it. And I was like, look, it's a little stain on the bed where the cream was at. Yeah. So it shot out of my vagina. So if something shoots out your vagina, it's not pee. And then also, what also happened is I squirted a little fluid out of my urethra, or there's also paraurethral glands also that are right
I've
around
heard of
the
those. Yeah.
urethra. And it was a very small amount of fluid, and it shot, and I saw it shot out like on his
Yeah.
stomach. And it wasn't a whole lot. Like it wasn't a warm fluid, flowing out. Like when you pee, from my experience, it's more like a flow,
True.
and not
Yeah,
saying
it
that
feels like a flow.
ejaculate can't be a flow, but for my experience, it's more like a shooting out because it literally like aimed
Yeah.
out. I also would say that for most men that I talk to, like if you saw the
Mm-hmm.
guy who actually wrote a book on female
Okay.
ejaculation, he even said that it tastes differently and it smells differently. He never said it was salty. He never said
I
that. So
feel bad.
so
I done drunk
so
pee.
so I don't know. I don't know, but I also think just like women taste
Mm-hmm.
differently depending on their diet or whatever. That might have been why she was
Yeah.
salty. I don't know. I've never been with a lot of women who ejaculate. I've never been with any woman who
Yeah. Yeah.
ejaculates, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know what my experience was. It was very clear that it was not pee because I don't pee like that. I don't shoot stuff out like that. And it's creamy and it's white and it's different. You know what I'm
Got you.
saying? So like, and then also there's a PSA prosthetic. What is PSA? I think it's prosthetic fluid antigen or
Yeah.
something. Women have like, and there's a gland, a prostate
Okay.
gland, and scientists are mixed on this, but like the actual clitoris, the G spot, there's a gland underneath there that swells up,
Yeah.
right there,
I
the
know what
G
you're talking about.
spot.
Yeah. Somebody. Yeah.
Right.
Somebody
Yeah.
told me about
So,
that. Yeah.
right. Yeah, so prosthetic fluid antigen is actually in the contents of ejaculate or the squirting fluid. So that's also the difference. And there may be like tiny traces of urine, but there also are in semen, because it comes out the urethra, it comes out around the same
Yeah.
place. So, but no, I think if you have an authentic squirt, I also think that sometimes when women squirt, they probably can have pee in. Like if you have a woman who's trying to
Yeah.
squirt, but maybe it's not quite that, they might
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
both. So, but yeah, in my experience, I knew it definitely wasn't pee, and there's a lot of other people that have experience. It's definitely not the same as urinating.
Uh.
So, but it's definitely not. I think the problem I think the problem is there's not enough research on it. And I also think the problem is sometimes women try to create the
Yeah.
experience because they know guys want it. I think that's probably what's going on too. It's like they're
Uh.
pressure and they want to create this experience. So that's my
Hmm.
assumption. Um, they might be trying to create something for guys because there's this pressure to like I can squirt. Um, but no, it's a very natural thing, and women can do it when they're highly aroused. They can do it when they're having an
Yeah.
orgasm or without orgasm. But definitely not a sin, and definitely think this type of practice or a woman being aroused has happened since the beginning of time. Like this is nothing new. I mean, a lot of the porn, and we discussed this yesterday, a lot of it is fake. A lot of
Right.
them drink a lot of
Right.
water to shoot a lot out.
Oh.
I'm not saying that women, I mean, I've read books where women say that they have shot out, maybe fourth a cup of ejaculate and
Yeah.
stuff. I've never done that, but a lot of what you see in porn is not real. Um, but yeah, it's not a sin. It's not
Hmm.
wrong. I don't think women should feel the pressure to do it. I don't think that it necessarily has to be the height of sexual
Yeah.
experience, but I do say it's very empowering when it does happen. It can be if you're not like worried about
Hmm.
it, you know, if you
Huh.
have a positive outlook on it. But no, it's definitely not a sin. I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's definitely a real thing, and it's definitely different than
Okay,
urinating.
okay, all right. So you see how the rant kind of goes back and forth. Sorry, so here's a double question. You know what I'm saying from people. So I consolidated them. All right. So um the first question is tied into two questions. The first question is does a certain diet help with how you know what I'm saying the pussy tastes? And also, what about Kegel exercises and weights? She uses them daily, and she has found out it's effective
Mhm.
on the go. And she wants to know what's your thoughts on them, on both the diet and Kegel exercises.
Yeah, I think diet is definitely going to affect the way you taste. If you think about it, like if you eat something, depending on what you eat, and then you have your feces smells like crazy, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like what you feed your body. I think eating clean is really important, but I mean it's important anyway.
Right. Of
Like you don't
course.
want to eat a bunch of crap. Like it's not going to be good for any part of your body, including your
Right.
genitals. People just need to think logically about their genitals. And this answers both questions with the Kegels and with the eating.
Okay.
Like what you would do to keep your hair healthy or keep your skin healthy, you need to do the same thing for your genitals and your sexuality. So like
Mm.
you need to keep your genitals healthy by exercising it in some way, whether it's through sex and semen retention practices, or
Oh,
if it's through
thank you.
Kegels and yeah, and just keeping your pelvic floor muscles strong, because depending on how strong your pelvic floor muscles are, the stronger your orgasms will be. If you have good blood flow to your genitals, this is why yoga is really great, because if you get really too stiff in the hips and you blow your back out when you're trying to
Right.
stroke,
Right.
or if you just don't have your hips are too tight that you don't get good blood flow to your genitals, they're not going to be able to be nice and plump and get and have all the sensations, because your penis becomes erect, your vulva becomes
Mm-hmm.
erect because of the blood flow, period. If you have a resistance or blockages in the channels of blood flow, you're not going to feel as much sensations because you're not getting the blood for it to make it nice and plump and erect. So that's why the yoni eggs and stuff, or the little Kegel balls or whatever, are really good, because it keeps the muscles, nice and plump in in your vagina. It keeps your wall, keep you having
Yeah.
walls,
Yeah.
So there's only so much we could do with age and stuff, but you can maintain, as much as possible. So yeah, the Kegels are great. As a tantra instructor and practitioner, I like yoni breathing better, or vaginal breathing, because you're not just flexing muscles, you actually add the energetic component to it. You connect your heart energy, like a meditation, with the contraction of the vaginal wall. So that's what I do um, in working with my yoni eggs and stuff. Sometimes not all the time, but yeah, Kegels are great. They've got all kind of cool devices
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
for keeping your vaginal walls
Ooh,
tight
now
and
that you say
everything. But
that,
yeah,
I'm glad
eating.
you said that because another question about see, man, these people. You know what? You know what? Hey, freestyle it, y'all. I'm not stopping y'all. I'm not stopping y'all. Okay, look. So
We got completely off
we
topic.
you know what? It's that's how you know what they're like. You know what? Yeah, we get all that. Okay, so cool. Um, somebody asked, have you ever heard of a pussy pump? But before you answer that question, okay.
Yes. Oh.
Now there's a lot of I'm kind of concerned about the men too because y'all got little weights and the Kegel exercises. Like there ain't nothing you can strap on to a guy's dick or whatever, and he can do like some curls with his penis or something. Like, have you ever read or studied anything that helps a man's like stroke game? I know that's in the hips. I remember that. So the hips, but I'm saying just with the penis itself. Like, is there a way that the penis can get stronger?
Yeah, they
Ah,
have now this is where you get into like ancient Taoist practices. Have you ever heard of Taoism?
yeah, yeah. I have. I just don't know what it is. You explain to me.
Okay. It's kind of like the Chinese version of Tantra. And so like now one thing you should know about Tantra or Taoism, there are practitioners of each ancient science. So these are sciences, spiritual
Okay.
sciences, though, like in America or modern Western world, we separate science from religion or spiritual practices. Back in the day, they didn't. They intertwined science with spirit. So if things made sense on earth scientifically, they also made sense in our spiritual realm. Like I was telling you about the body,
Yeah.
if something's physically wrong with your hips, your sexual energy could be off as well,
Right.
right?
Right.
So these sciences involved energetics and spirit and morality and all that stuff, along with the physical. So the Chinese version of those type of sciences is Taoism.
Mm.
In Taoism, they actually saw that we need to have balance within the feminine and masculine divine. So when men and women come together, it's like, okay, women take a longer time to be aroused. Men have a fiery sexual energy and they can come really quickly. So men need to learn how to retain their
Uh-huh.
erection and keep them stronger as they age. So they came up with practices like semen retention, lengthening the penises, making them stronger in order so they could not only balance with the feminine divine, or with the women, to keep them satiated, but also so they could maintain their hormones and maintain their physical strength, because they felt like their sexual energy also was important for health reasons. Because when your sexual energy starts to go
Yeah.
down and your libido goes down,
Mm.
that means physically you're losing a lot too. When your testosterone goes down, you start to lose muscle and all of this other stuff. So it's connected to your physical health as well. So you have to look into, there's an author called Mantak Chia,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually talks
I think I
about
heard that name.
physical practices for men to strengthen their penises, make their penises slightly longer, because
Oh snap!
I think there's maybe like 25% of the shaft is actually embedded inside the body of a man, and you
Interesting.
can lengthen it out.
What?
And also, again, yes, and also, again, like with what you eat and lifting and things like that, can make your erection stronger and strengthen the girth. So, like, and that's why you have all these commercials about herbs and things
Yeah.
like that. It's like you want to make your like,
Right.
it's possibly very possible that you can make your penis longer and make the width stronger and wider if you take care of it. Because I don't know if you, this is getting into your business, but I'll talk about somebody else. Like, I remember I was talking to a guy that was like in his 30, early 30s. He was like, I feel like when I was younger, my penis was bigger. And I was like, it may have been because when because when you were younger, you may not have jacked off as much, or you
True.
may not have had a lot
True.
of sex with women. So when you ejaculate over and over and over again, and your penis, like you're
Mm.
using it and you're not keeping any of that energy for yourself, it's like it's constantly being used over and over and over again.
Snap.
So when you start to practice retaining some of that energy and that blood flow for yourself,
Yes.
it's like it plumps up the erectile tissue. But when you constantly, like, especially like when you're younger, and if you're masturbating like 4 or 5 times a
Yeah.
day, you're constantly putting out energy. And semen, there's hormones, there's vitamins and minerals that are really vital to your own health, because it's what creates a
Yeah.
baby. So just think, if you were able to retain some of that for yourself, instead of like constantly pushing that out all the time.
Oh,
So yeah, so you have the power to like plump it up a little bit more, and kind of make it a little bit longer and stronger. Yeah, for
all the
sure.
men out there, longer and stronger. Do y'all hear that? There. But so what you had said, the key thing, one of the key words I heard you say, like, are you saying that masturbating for men kind of, um, is it even beneficial? Yeah. Does it make you shorter?
Yes, it depends on how you're masturbating. If you are ejaculating 4 and 5 times a day, and you are like in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, no, it's not good. But if you learn how to
Stop.
cultivate, meaning that, which is really
Right.
hard for men to initially get, but if you can massage yourself,
Without.
like, this
Yeah.
is like,
Go ahead.
I like, without ejaculating, like, when I'm with a lover, I like to do lingam
Okay.
massages, which are like penis
Okay.
massages. Lingam is a Sanskrit word for penis.
I'm writing these notes. Hold
But
on.
and you
I'm writing notes. Go. Go.
and yeah, and so you massage. The idea is that you massage the penis in different ways. It's not like giving a hand job, because usually you try to focus on different
Mm-hmm.
areas to like increase sensation and increase blood
Yeah.
flow, but you don't try to make them ejaculate. You kind of try to bring them to their edge and then take them back, and maybe like rub on their
I think
chest, rub on their
I've heard that
shoulders,
before.
rub on different
Yeah.
parts
Yeah.
of their body, so they don't just focus on pleasure there, but they're able to spread it all around. And really, the idea with semen retention and tantra practices is that men can learn to not just feel orgasm through their genitals, but have a full body orgasm. And that's when you come multi-orgasmic. But that takes discipline. Like, you don't get those type of rewards until you have a lot of discipline. And it's hard for a lot of men,
Ooh.
but it's very rewarding.
Yeah, it is hard for a lot of men, no pun intended, because I'm gonna tell you this. Like, yeah, I was that, but it's never too personal with me, I promise you. My people know I'm an open book. I have told my own myself, like, I snitch on myself because I'm just trying to make myself better by putting the truth out there. I on average, especially when I got into my 30s, yeah, on my days off and stuff, when I'm not working, yeah, it's gonna be about 4 or 5 times a day I am jacking off. But I also noticed that it did, and I admit it did affect my sexual performance, because it was like after one time, you know what I'm saying, I'm like, oh man, I can't do it again. And she's trying to do it again. And then she's like, well, what's wrong? What's going on? Of course, I never tell her, but not to tell her, well, I done jacked off like 4 times or whatever. So really, I jacked off like 5 times. And then, you're trying to go again, not knowing this is my 6th time. And now she starts to get insecure and wonder what's going on and stuff. So being single like I am now,
And
like, yeah, go ahead.
then and then you're training your brain to ejaculate. So like when you are masturbating, like how long is that session? Is it like 2 to 5 minutes? Is it 10 to 15
It
minutes?
depends because it depends on what porn I'm watching. Because if a certain porn ain't hitting right, if the JPEG don't look like it's about to be something nice, I'm gonna be scrolling through and then playing with myself while I'm like, okay, that looks like a good one, and okay, and then if it don't move me, it kind of starts my shit all over again. Like, oh fuck, I gotta start over again. Okay, here's the one with my girl. What's my girl name, bro? Tiana Trump. Tiana Trump. Whoo! And I look at
Donald Trump. Oh Lord.
yes, she's just so oh my god. So anyway, I'll be looking at her and I'm like, okay, now she's got me going, but there may be certain ones that get me going. Like it's but when it lasts, it all depends because it really is mental with me. If I have a good visual in my mind, you know what I'm saying? Of like I imagine myself being that dude getting his dick sucked. I'll be like, man, I might pop in less than 5 minutes. There have been times, yeah, I popped less than 5 minutes because mentally where my mind was at. Other times I would be jacking off so long that it'll just get soft again because nothing mentally is striking me. You know what I'm saying? And then you just get a bunch of pre-cum and you're just like, man, you know what? Fuck it. But my my determination to bust a nut, I'll be up there until I bust one. And I don't, I'm just wondering if it's like, man, is it affecting me? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes, it is
okay,
affecting you,
yeah,
Royce.
okay, it's affecting me.
But no, okay. So in your case, all right. So you must watch a lot of porn. We're gonna have to bring that down some.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it affects your sex life. So you're
Mm,
training. So there's two things going on with you here. You're training your body to receive pleasure outside of yourself with
yeah.
porn, which no girl that you're with is going to be able to
Yeah.
m- stimulate you in that way because
Mm,
it's not real. It's all acting and it's all like
mm,
it's not real.
right.
so so you're training your mind to receive pleasure or to come from that. So you've got that wiring going
Right.
on. And then the thing that I was concerned with is that if you're coming within like 2 to 5 minutes, for women, usually not all the time, it depends on how they're cultivating their sexual energy, but even most women like longer lovemaking sessions,
Right.
and it takes them about 20 minutes to get fully aroused on
Right.
average. And this is if you want them to have a really good
Got
orgasm.
you.
And it just depends on the woman. Like some women just take longer than
Mm.
others. But so if you're training your mind or in your penis to come within 2 to 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it's going to be hard for you to satiate your woman. On top of you've already come 2 to 5 times. On top of you're watching porn, and then now the situation. And it doesn't mean that you can't be aroused with the woman that you with, but you are training
Yeah.
physically that your mind to come from something that's not even probably practical within your realm of reality.
So the long story short, I need to minimize my porn watching. And I do really need I'm gonna keep it real because I'm a
And if you masturbate, you need to be cultivating for 20 minutes or more and trying sometimes not to
not to. Yeah,
ejaculate.
yeah, okay. Because I was gonna go back to that. How you were saying you kind of massaging the penis and da 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 da, and then maybe to the height of ejaculation, and then let go. You know what I'm saying? Let it ease back. I've
Like
noticed that. I've
edging.
noticed that. Yeah, I've noticed that even without even thinking about it. Like when I've had sex before and I feel like I'm about to come, and I'll be like, "Whoa, hold on for a minute."
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
Cat Williams said, reset. All right, you know what I mean? Reset and get back.
Yeah.
Oh, I said, okay, I get it. So, um, we're gonna kind of we're gonna go into a little closing a little bit, but I just want to kind of bring everything together because we got like another music review and all that stuff.
Bring everything
Yeah,
together.
so like it's the right, like we just went all over the place with it, but I think at least we
Yeah.
stayed somewhere within the realm. So listen, people,
Of sex.
everybody that's listening, at the end of the day, um, uh, uh as far as toxic relationships and all that, you have to find out what is gravitating you toward that thing. You need to work on that because if it's the sex, it's gravitating to you. You have to find that deep root of kind of how to get out of that rut. I know for me personally, I have to I have to take my mind. I really do. I have to take my mind off of the sexual part, especially within a relationship, because to me that's one of the things that oh my god, like I really fall victim to it all the time. But that's also based on um my want and my need for it, and always jacking off, and just feel like I just gotta be inside something. You know what I'm saying? And I really want to get back to not just semen retention. You know what I'm saying? But just the whole mental aspect of it or whatever. Because I know the moment that I got out for the semen retention, you know, I was on the hunt again. I started my Pornhub account. I was like, oh yeah, I'm back, motherfuckers. You know, it's been 37 days. I'm about to show y'all a little something. And then I got right back into that motherfucking habit. And I'm like, you know what? This has got to stop. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody that just came in. What up, Bougie? You know what I'm saying? But to wrap this up, can you give the people, I guess, and for the people that just came in, just like just all the links that you have, and you know, because I know you go to some seminars or you do classes and stuff like that too. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I had some workshops and stuff going, and then because of the COVID-19, I kind of
Yeah,
stopped. And then right now I'm working on rebuilding my website. I need to get somebody to work on that because the problem with my page is that people see it and then they don't know what I offer. So they're like, "Do you have a fan zone? Do you have this or that?" So I have to define exactly what I want to do. But I do one-on-one coaching, and I do have like some courses online. I'm just not offering them right at the
got
moment.
you,
But you can go to my Instagram, Crystal underscore, it's KRYSTAL underscore tantric yogi,
mm-hmm.
TANTRICKYOGI. I'm sure Boyce will have it up somewhere.
Okay, for sure.
That's probably the best way to follow me. I'm on Facebook, but not really that active. I also have a YouTube channel, which is the same, Crystal Tantric Yogi, with the underscore in the middle. Um, and I basically post about the same thing, except I sometimes I don't. I do a lot of pictures on Instagram that I don't do on
Got
YouTube,
you,
but
got you.
the videos are about the same, which is a lot of yoga videos and then some of my talks on different topics. Um, so yeah, but I promise, I keep promising people as soon as things get organized, my life has kind of been all over the
I
place,
feel
but
you.
I definitely will have some stuff out
Cause you are
soon.
definitely doing your thing, and then okay, this is the last question, y'all. All right, okay, and this for you, okay? Because I thank you for opening my people up because we just I'm so happy for them. All right, so they say, okay, I have a question. All right, it says I know how to make the penis come within minutes and have done with is it true that a man can hold it in just so you can break your jaws and tonsils? Because I swear there's been times in relationships that they just care more about the feeling than the jaws and pain I got to work through. Hmm.
Do you understand what he's asking?
Okay. You
Is that a man
no,
asking it?
this
A
is
man
no, this is
asking
no,
that,
this is a
right?
woman asking it.
Okay, so what? So okay,
You want me to go back?
do you understand
Okay.
what she's
So I'm
asking?
gonna. Okay. She said.
Can you paraphrase? Do you understand what
Okay.
she's
Okay.
asking? Maybe you
Basically,
can
what she's
explain it.
saying is, okay. She said, I know how to make the penis come within minutes, and I
Okay.
have done this, and I've done that. And she said, is it true that a man can
Mm-hmm.
hold his cum in just so
Mm-hmm.
you can break your jaws and tonsils? 'Cause basically, what she's saying is that do you feel that men purposely hold their come in? You know what I'm saying? While they're because most men. Okay, here we go. That's as an experience. Most men.
Maybe you should
Yeah,
answer.
most men. Yeah. All right. Tell you what. Most men don't want to come. You know what I'm saying? While you're sucking our dick, and I'm gonna tell you why is because it's really an ego thing. We want to blow you. We want to give us a chance to blow your back out. We don't want to nut, you know what I'm saying? Because after we nut that first time, you're going to be waiting about 20, 30 minutes, you know what I'm saying? We're going to need to rejuvenate, you know what I mean? You never know, you might even get it back up. So he's trying to save his cum so he can, you know, have sex with you and blow your back out and make you come because I am a giver. I want a woman to come before I do because a man is gonna get theirs and just like Crystal was saying, to have a nice orgasm, you know what I'm saying, at least a minimum of 20 minutes, you know what I'm saying, to get that engine revving and stuff and flowing like you need to be flowing. So yeah, if when a woman was sucking my penis and I'm getting ready to come, I'd be like, whoa, hold up, you know what I mean, like. I'm not trying to come yet because you're gonna be waiting for a minute before we get to sex. But for some women that may just turn them on, you know what I'm saying, to catch that nut or whatever, however they want to do it when they're giving oral sex, and that may satisfy them and they may not mind waiting. But from a man's point of view, our ego won't let us do that unless that's just all we want. You know what I'm saying? But usually when we get the head, for men, I know for me, that's just a warm up. You know what I'm saying? You getting it ready to go. I'm looking at your body formation and how you're moving around and your hips and stuff. I'm looking at the whole art of it because I'm getting ready to put some work in, and I don't want to come yet. So if that answers your question, Amber, you know what I'm saying? We're not trying to break your jaws or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want your mouth to be sore. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Do you have anything to say with that? No. Yeah. She's stuck.
Oh, you talking about me?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Like.
Oh, it's weird because when you're looking at me,
Oh,
it
my
looks
bad.
like
I'm
you're looking at
cross-eyed
somebody
because I'm
else.
looking at you at the screen.
Oh,
My
no.
bad. Okay.
Oh,
Now I see
okay.
you.
No, what no what I would say is that what is it that she's looking for? A lot of times women, I think, get caught up in sex and being turned on by sex if they feel desired and if they feel
Mm-hmm.
wanted. What are you, do you not feel like your pleasure is worthy, or do you come from like giving women men head? Because I know some women do, but
Yeah.
like I think it's a shot to the ego for some women. Like, am I not doing enough if you're not coming or whatever?
Mm.
Like, I think sometimes we have to, put down our ego and just be able to enjoy, a man, like, for just like, if you really enjoy giving head, then just enjoy giving head. If you've done all that you can and you're tired, then go to the next thing. Like, keep the energy turned on. It's not always, it doesn't have to be a dominating game all the time. I feel like people come into sex thinking they got to give a performance and they're going to come out the best because they got this and they got that and they got that skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
This skill. It's about intimacy. Like this, I used to be intimidated about giving sex tips because I'm like, I've been married most of my life. I haven't had any sexual excursions or done a whole bunch of stuff. But what I realized is that I've still had better sexual experiences than a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And it's because I understand intimacy and I understand love making and I understand like the spiritual context of sex. And a
Right.
lot of people have slept with a lot of people and not had like a good love making experience where there's a real connection like you hear about in the R&B songs and all that stuff.
Right.
When you are connecting with somebody, yeah, our egos get involved, but when it really comes down to it, you just want to enjoy each other.
True.
So that's what's most important, not him breaking your jaw or if
Yeah.
he's coming. Because say you get with somebody like Royce and he gets his semen retention going, and like maybe you can't make him come like in 5 or 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to enjoy like him and where he's at and the intimacy and the connection. Now, if he wants to come and he's having a hard time, that's not always on you. Sometimes I've heard that some guys come quick when they're anxious, and some guys have a hard time coming because of psychological
That
issues.
is
So it's
true.
not always because of you, that, it's not always about you.
True. True.
What you want to make sure is that your ego doesn't get in the way of actually enjoying each other. So I think that's just something to keep in mind.
Interesting. Yeah, she was like, nah, bro, this is during the time of the month, but I feel like they just want it to be prolonged. You know what I'm saying? Oh, during the time of the month. Well, I mean, I don't, Amber, I don't know. I know personally for me, it's just like I want to please the woman. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't want to come fast unless we kind of fooling around or anything like that, and then you give me some head, and then I come and we return the favor or whatever like that.
Yeah, I guess if you're feeling, if the guy is selfish, then that's a different type of
Yeah,
problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's not even thoughtful, but if it's just if you are working on pleasing him, I guess you do the best you can. Maybe you learn some new techniques to surprise him or whatever. That, like, that's always fun. You may have to, what I've learned in having the couple partners that I've
yeah.
had is that if some guys have more experience, you gotta like put some creativity and some thought in what you do. You being sexy and whatever is not
Okay.
always enough. like
Yeah,
you gotta up your game and get creative and do a little bit more to, I don't know, like, to kind of gotta get him wrapped up. Like, you gotta put as much thought as what he's putting into it. Now, if he's not reciprocating that, then that's a
yeah,
problem. But being sexy and cute and having a big ass is not enough. Like, you can up your game.
yeah.
You can do
Uh,
it.
that's what's up. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? You know what I'm saying? It's not about you all the time, But no, Crystal. Yeah, we're gonna close off on this, but I would like to say, amongst everything that we talked about, because that's what Royce's Rant is all about. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about what the people want to ask. Because sometimes they'll give me the topic, sometimes I'll think of one, and you know they may not think my topic is shit, and then they'll just bring up something else. I'm like, fuck it. At the end of the day, I'm still learning something. You know what I mean? They learn about me, I learn about them, we learn about each other as a whole. But really do appreciate you, and this is actually the first time we have talked, you know, via anything in some years. You know what I'm saying? So it's just good to see your growth. It's good to see your vibrant skin, your beauty, the naturalism, and just your whole movement that you have. Um, I'm very proud of you. I know a lot of your colleagues. You know what I'm saying? T5 proud of you. You know what I'm saying? We
Not too
you
far.
know what I'm saying? Them are the days. But like, just really proud of your movement and everything you're doing. And you know, we support you 110%. And my producer said, even off the record, is like, if you want to you know, connect with him, man, he's when it comes to, you know, the websites and setups and the graphics and stuff like that, like, man, please feel free to, like, you know, team up with us, man. Real talk. I mean, it's something we can talk about, you know, off the record. But you know, I've been waiting to team up with some of my colleagues that are doing some good things and see how we can help each other. You feel what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
if with that being said, would you like to say just bye to all the people that were listening to you and everything? Anything you just want to say to them, just as a closing note?
Yeah, just thank you for listening and all of your great questions. And you know, be safe out there and stay encouraged.
All day. And that is Crystal Tandrick Yogi. And you can find her on YouTube, Instagram. Where else we got? Uh, uh, Twitter. You're not
Mm-mm,
on Twitter?
mm-mm.
Okay.
I mean, I was, but I'm not really
Not really.
active.
Okay, okay. I'll
So
tell
maybe
you what.
one day I'll be active
So
again.
we're gonna say Instagram. We're gonna say Facebook. We're going to say
YouTube.
YouTube. Definitely YouTube. Her YouTube is what is seriously what is what's popping. You know what I mean? You can have all types of updates. She has a lot of topics that she discussed, and she even gives you, you know, hands-on things to show you. Because I mean, without even, you know, getting too deep into it, she gets hands on, ladies and gentlemen. That's something that you might want to see, especially you ladies out there. You know what I mean? That just want to know where the glow is. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely with Crystal. And Crystal, man, we love you. And you know, we'll talk off the record, you know, a little later. You know, it's just about how we can help each other in a sense, man. My producer's real interested in your work and the movement that you got on, and we just want to help any way that we can. You feel what I'm saying? So, with that being said, everybody, you know, thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Royce the Voice, Orange Click, Orange Leader. Shout out to K Team. Speak your thoughts or lose your mind. And we about to sign out, man. Bye, everybody.